Hey everyone, welcome back to HD Reddit Reads. Today's topic is, what's the story you've never been able to tell? Let's get into it. This is probably going to get lost, but I just want to put it out into the world. I'm a recovering drug addict. I dropped out of school, but I would still show up on campus to pick up drugs or meet people. I was sitting outside the cafe one night, waiting on some pills. I weighed 100 pounds soaking wet and hadn't eaten in days. There was this girl in the honors program with me when I was enrolled, and we had many classes in that program together. She was a unique young lady. My friend and I bullied her in the past and didn't try to hide it. She walked by and asked me how I was, and I was so clearly sick. There was an awkward silence, and she asked me if she could buy me some food. She took me into the cafe and bought me a cookie. I said thank you, and we parted ways. I cried so hard that night. I was overwhelmed with guilt and gratitude and shame. I never saw her again. That was about 8 years ago, and I remember it clearly, down to what I was wearing. I don't remember her name, but I will never forget her kindness. It was a bright moment in an otherwise sad time in my life. Wherever she is, I wish I could thank her. I work at a cinema, and while doing a general check that everyone is operating smoothly, a peculiar movement caught my eye. This particular session was a Father's Day session for Pixels back in 2015. The entire crowd consisted entirely of fathers and their young children, except for the young couple effing in the back row. Poor innocent 16-year-old me, fresh on the job, was gobsmacked and frozen much like a deer in headlights. I couldn't bring myself to give them the old, "Hey, please stop effing, thanks," so the manager gave them the awkward tap on the shoulder. Cut to the end of the film, the manager and I are at the exit waiting to see the faces of the culprits. Straight out the door, operating at the same serious pace, is my sister's best friend and her boyfriend. Both, surprisingly, were clearly in a great mood, until she made eye contact with a stunned Ethiopian. No face has ever gone from all smiles to utter horror so quick. About 6 months ago, I was very close to suicide. I actually was about to do it, thinking about killing myself, and at one point I had agreed to myself I would end it. I got home that night, and it was just me and my cat as my fiancée was at work. My cat, I think she knew I was sad, and she never sits in people's laps, sat up in my lap and proceeded to flip on her belly and play wrestle with my hand. I broke down for about 3 hours. My fiancée came home knowing none the wiser, but had brought me my favorite dish from her work, because she knew I was feeling down. I never told her that was the night I decided not to pull the trigger. When I was a college freshman, I tried to boil 3 eggs, then fell asleep. I woke up to a smell. I went to the stove and the water was completely gone from the pot. So like an idiot, I got some water in a big bowl and poured it into the pot. You probably know where this is going. The eggs exploded like dynamite. Scalding hot egg hit my face. It blew me back and knocked me to the floor. Here's the scary part. I felt my face and looked at the egg on my finger, but thought it was burnt skin coming off my face. I almost started crying. How badly burned was I that my facial skin came off to the touch? I walked to the bathroom shaking and looked in the mirror. I expected to see some horribly disfigured face, but I saw egg and eggshells. I wiped it with my hand and felt incredible relief. I also felt incredibly stupid, but so what, right? I spent the next hour cleaning egg off the ceiling, the walls, the floor, etc. My face was red for a couple days. In elementary school, we had a program called DARE, where a police officer would come into our class and teach us about the dangers of substance and alcohol abuse. At the end of the year, he prompted us to write an essay about what we learned over the course of the year in DARE. He also advised us that the author of the best essay in the class would receive a stuffed lion, appropriately named Darren. Now, I really wanted this lion, but the problem with that was my writing skills were those of a typical 3rd grader. There's no way that anything I wrote about my time in DARE would stand out enough for my fellow classmates to win Darren. So I did what any desperate 10-year-old would do. Googled DARE essay contest winners, and then plagiarized the first one that came up in my searches. Now this was done diligently, carefully proofreading to ensure that I wasn't going to turn in an essay with somebody else's name in it somewhere. I went through and changed phrasing or a word here and there, but by no means would it pass through Turnitin.com with less than 90% plagiarized. Confident in my chances of winning Darren, I turned in my essay to Mr. Officer, and what do you know? A week later, had our end of the year reception at the municipal building, which also contained the police station. He listed the top 3 essays, 3rd place, 2nd place, and then he said, holding Darren, "The best DARE essay submitted this year was written by me. Come on up here, get your Darren stuffed animal, and read your essay to us, please." I was so excited I won the animal, it was never even a thought that crossed my mind that I would have to deliver this speech. So I reluctantly walked up, took my stuffed animal, and all I can remember at this point is shaking so bad. It looked like I was going to fall over at the mic. All of my classmates, all of their parents, and the entire local police department with their full attention on me, a 10-year-old little fraud of a student. To this day, it's one of my most shameful moments, and I still have Darren sitting in my desk for discouragement from copying others' work. I didn't know this until after, but apparently when you're a raging alcoholic, you lose out of REM sleep. Lose out on enough REM sleep, and your body forces you to kind of dream while awake, leading to auditory hallucinations. I'm at my job, and the weeks before found out that if I only drank in the morning and not also at lunch, I'd get the shakes before the end of the day. I skipped a couple lunch drunks and started hearing things at the end of the day. Problem was, I didn't know I was hearing things. First day, I hear the Wheel of Fortune chant coming from a meeting room. A lady walks by and I ask her if she hears it too. I'm sure she has no effing clue what I was asking. Second day, I hear chanting for someone named Erica in the conference room. This made sense because I used to work at a place that employed someone named Erica, who did marketing visits at agencies like my former place of employment. Third day, I'm at home and I hear my roommate yelling at me. Yeah, he's being a pussy because his dad smoked a cigarette. My dad used to smoke and had also had a heart attack recently. I thought he was shit-talking me, so I yelled from my room. I said heart attack, not cigarette, you bitch. His girlfriend and him came up and were like, dude, what is going on? We're not even talking, is everything okay? Over the next couple of weeks, I tried to sleep without drinking, but I ended up sleeping 1 hour or so, and during the night, I'd grind my teeth so effing hard, they felt loose the next morning. I started to realize the past couple months had been filled with auditory hallucinations, and I was probably just yelling at people randomly. Anyway, I've been sober for a little over 6 years now. I was a lonely kid in the mid-2000s, and I joined chat rooms like most kids/teens my age did. I was a little younger than the average kid on there, as far as I knew, so I lied and upped my age on them. Said I was 15 or 16 instead of 11 or 12. I never gave actual info. I said I lived in a different state, almost always gave a fake name. I thought I was clever. I mostly used the sites to either A, talk to girls my age about life in school and boys, or B, roleplay chat with boys because my family was very strict and religious and I was curious about sex. I was super inexperienced and thought I could get some information or at least explore some different feelings from it. Looking back, that could have gone terribly wrong. However, it was the former reason that got me in trouble. A few years after my parents found out about the chat sites and grounded me permanently from the internet, without supervision anyway, my dad got a call at work from an FBI agent located in our state, asking about me being his daughter and my email address. I had foolishly given a girl my email address and exchanged names and small talk before she asked to exchange pictures. She sent one first and it was so weird it freaked me out into not sending one. The picture was overtly sexual and I was just not interested. I forgot all about her after that. Turns out she was some 40-year-old child porn collector in a different time zone who was getting pictures from kids and swapping them around with other pedos. It was a very complicated but apparently normal thing for these type of people. My email had been found in his computer, and so they had to talk to us since I was still a minor. I didn't reply with the pictures, so they weren't too worried about it. I wasn't much help, I don't think. I still refer to that person as a her when I think about it, or when I tell someone like my so. The FBI lady called later to tell my parents he had been found guilty and sent to prison. I don't know his name, I don't want to. It definitely freaked me out for a long time. Remember when the world was supposed to end December 21st, 2012? That night, a bunch of my friends and I were hanging out in my apartment, smoking a lot of weed and playing video games. We made a bunch of jokes about the world not having ended. I was pretty young and dumb, so I actually had some anxiety about it. It felt good to laugh it off. We go on my balcony, and we have a cigarette and watch the sunset. Out of nowhere, there's an enormous explosion and the sky flashes lime green. We all stop talking and stare at the sky. Flashes, green, pink, yellow, and there was these crazy, indescribable crackling noises. I'm stoned as a bitch, and I decide this is it. It's happening. I go into emergency preparedness mode for the alien invasion, and for some reason start filling my bathtub with water. I think it was so we'd have water to drink if we were hiding from aliens, and the water lines get interrupted. I'm stupid. We all run around yelling and freaking the F out for about 5 minutes, while the sky continues to strobe neon colors. So what had happened was a transformer blew somewhere nearby. No idea that this is what happened in the circumstance, but due to the date, I was not the only one to lose it. My mother was out, and one of her companions fell to their knees and started praying the rosary for the second coming when the sky started changing colors. Never found a good time to share the story, but it cracks me up, and I still catch shit for the effing bathtub. Thank you for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing. It'll be greatly appreciated. And if you want to visit the original thread, I'll link it in the description. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.